Okay, so we're currently sitting at 315 knots, or 315 degrees true bearing. We're not moving, and I have a report of a contact at 296 degrees long range. So let's go see what it is. We're currently at periscope depth. Actually, we're at snorkel depth is what we're at, which is apparently 13 meters. So that's how you get easily to 13 meters. Okay, so we're going to come sit at the attack periscope. We're going to put it all the way up. Now, if I get turned to 296, then we should see it once we pop out. And there it is. Now, let's go ahead and first things first is we're going to identify the target. So we'll pull up our tankers and open the book, and we're going to see there's also the ship recognition. I haven't used this one very much, but it might be interesting to see. I'm actually going to give it a try. So let's see. If I close that one, try to get to the side again. So we have a rear engine and a middle staff there. So we've got, like, I don't know, the tanker type 2 or type 7 kind of looks like it. What else looks like it? Tanker type 5, tanker type 2. So this is very different. So if we look here, this is definitely different than the way that I usually do it. So I happen to know what kind of a ship this is from previous runs. The grosser tanker is probably the closest. I'm going to see what happens if I use that in my calculations. Now, I know that some of those are a little bit off, so we may end up with an imperfect solution, but I'd be interested to see. Okay, so we're going to look, I'm going to say it looks most like the grosser tanker, or the big tanker. So we've got a grosser tanker, mast of 27, it looks like, and a length of 190, and it looks like the draft is 11.9 maybe, and it's saying it can do 18 knots. Now I happen to know that a lot of that is quite wrong. I wonder, I don't see any that are better than that though, so you know what, we're going to go with that. And we'll see if we get a usable solution. Okay, so we'll close that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get an initial range. And actually, we're going to get a speed first. So we're going to go right to 300 degrees. Because what we can do is we can put up the range angle on the bow. And we're going to bring up our timer here. We're going to start timing from that notch it's about to touch. Okay. And we'll get that first, I guess. So it's 2 notches over from the 10. That's what we're timing on. I'm going to bring this over where it's closer to what I'm doing right now. So once the rear of the ship crosses this, I will stop. Now there's actually 2 ways to get the speed, or more than 2 ways. But one is actually right here. So it's basically a 200 meter long ship, and that's the measure of how fast it's going, but it's a little bit imprecise because, well, it's actually 190 meters long, and that's 200, so it's not quite the same. I'm almost at the end here. But we're going to go right now. Okay, so that is 48 seconds. So 48 seconds, which on this works out to be about 8 knots. If it's a slightly shorter ship, it gets slower. So we're going to put 8 knots approximately. Okay, and then we're now going to measure. I'm actually going to stay on the same heading, but bring it up just a little. Okay, something like that. Okay, so we're taking this measure at 300 degrees. And we are going to count how high it is. So that's 1, 2.2 high. And the length is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 long. So, 4 long. So, let's go ahead and do a couple of things here. So first, we know that the mast, assuming it's correct, is 27 meters tall. So we're going to drag this to the 2.2 we just counted. 2.2. So we're matching the top right here up with the red mark at 2.2. And then we're going to take a mast height of 27, which is here. So that puts us at 5,100 meters. So 5,100 meters. And if we drag this 5,100 over to the length of the ship, which is 190 right here, and then we count it at 4 long, that gives us a 16-degree angle on the bow. Okay? Now, that information right there gives us everything we need to know to set up our shot. So we don't have everything we need for the final shot, but we can set up our shot. So I'm going to go ahead and put my periscope down so we don't get spotted in the meantime. And we're going to bring up the attack disk. Now the attack disk is currently set to be the same as what we're facing. So apparently we're facing, 315 degrees. This is our submarine. This is their ship. And this is our periscope right here. So our submarine is currently facing that 315, and that's fine. And we were looking at 300 degrees. So we'll bring this around to right there, which is pointing at the 300. And if we want to make sure, we can grab this guy, which is a little bit longer to point with, but it's close. And then we saw them, or they had an angle of about of 16 degrees on us. So if we drag this inner white ring with the red and green numbers, we're going to drag that so that the 16 degrees lines up with our periscope. And so it looks like they are actually traveling, reading from this same ring that has the N with a triangle. They're currently traveling at 62 degrees. Okay, so they have a true bearing of 62 degrees. And we just got a radio message. Let's just read it really quickly to get rid of it. Okay, and I'm going to move that over here now because we don't need this for a little bit. Now we want to set up an intercept course with them. So since they're going at this angle, we need to turn our ship because we want our ship to face them like this when it comes time for the shot. And if we look, that means we need to face 329 degrees on this outer ring right here. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to order 320. And so I'm rolling my scroll wheel, and then if I hold shift and roll, then it does 1 degree at a time. So 329 degrees, drag out, and then I have to be moving. So I'm going to tell them to do a kleine Fahrt voraus, or a head slow, I guess. Okay. So now we've got probably 5 minutes now while the ship gets into position, and we can tell that by bringing up the compass, but bringing up the alternate view where it shows the rudder. And that gives us, well, that the rudder is currently far to the right, and as we get close to our final, then it's going to swing on in. So we're going to use this time that we have right now as the ship's coming towards us and as we're getting into position to get a few things set up. First off, we did a quick estimate that they were doing 8 knots, but let's actually take a look at that. So if we use these 2 outer rings, so the very outer ring is going to represent the length of the ship, and the next ring in is how long it took for it to pass our line on our periscope, and that was 48 seconds. So we're actually going to grab right here 48, and we're going to drag it to 190, which is the length of the ship. And then this line right here tells us their speed, which is about 8 knots. So 8 knots is probably our best estimate at this point. So we were pretty close. So we're going to go ahead and dial that in on our TDC. Now, by unclicking this red mark, I've detached the TDC from my periscope. So it's going to move. If I put it together and I move my periscope around, then everything moves. Then the dials move with the periscope. But if I uncheck it, then when I move the periscope, it doesn't. It also allows me to manually change the numbers. I can't manually change them unless I do. We also had a range of 5,000 meters. I'm just going to dial that in right now, even though that's not the end. It'll be in there. And then we also know that we're coming in from this side. So it's going to be somewhere on this side. The current angle on the bow is 16 degrees, but that's going to change because our ship is currently moving. Our boat is currently moving through the water, so that's going to change. We're down to 10 degrees, so we're almost going to our final heading. Let's go ahead and set up our torpedoes. So the depth of this ship is 11.9. So I'm going to dial this in at, say, we're going to go for like 8 meters. We're going to fire 3 torpedoes. And we want them to go fast. And then 2 is an electric torpedo. So I'm not going to fire that one because we can't watch it go through the water. So that's not very good for training. But 3, we're going to dial this in at like 6 or something. Also fast, and then we'll set 4 to like, I don't know, somewhere in the middle there, also fast. So that gives us our 3 torpedoes mostly set up, and we'll go ahead and open the flood tanks, or opening the tubes. Okay, so we are almost done turning, so I'm going to get ready on the halt, which is the tilde, or just left of the number 1 key. You can also click on the 0 down there, but for whatever reason my clicks down here aren't lining up. Like if you look now, it says it's a 0 even though it's actually a head slow. Okay, we are currently doing almost 1.5 knots, so we're actually gonna go back slow, so that we can bring that speed down before we pop our head up or our periscope up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take another guess, because we know where the ship was when we went down, but it's moved and we've moved. If we hadn't moved, then we could track everything. But since we moved, we're going to have to do this all again. We're going to have to get the range, we're going to have to get the angle, and we're going to have to get the angle on the bow and put that all into the targeting computer, and then it will do the rest for us, assuming we put in the right numbers. We're currently going 1 knot even, 0.9. So when it approaches 0, I'm just going to go ahead and hit tilde again to stop us. Now once this is all done, I'll take the time to draw it up on the map, but I'm purposely not doing that now because I want it to be shown that you can do this without ever drawing something on the map. This is using just the range angle on the bow finder and the attack disk. Okay, so we're really close to stop. I'm going to go ahead and stop. 0.3 knots. We're barely moving. And let's go ahead and pop our head up. Insert and delete puts it up and down. You can also do like a shift insert to go all the way up. Although once I break the water here, I can probably stop. And there we are, right at 300 degrees again. So we're actually going to take another measurement here at 300 degrees. And my reasoning is I actually want to do another speed measurement before it gets too close to my reticle. So we use that 3rd notch in as our measurement. So this notch right here is where I started it. And we'll just watch it creep on in. So we are now at 329 degrees. So we turned to 329 degrees. And we're now bearing 300. Target bearing 300. Okay. So I should have brought this closer. So we're right under that notch right there. Stop. Okay. So that one was only 39 seconds. So if we turn it around, we're looking at more like 10 knots. 39 seconds or 10 knots. So it has sped up since we were looking at it before. So now, let's go ahead and move this out of the way and let's count notches here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at about 5 ticks high. 5.0 high. And let's go with maybe when it reaches here. So that's going to be 10, 13. We're at about 14.8. So 14.8 long. Okay. So if we take our first number here, we've got everything we need. So I'm going to put this down for now. So we've got 5 high. And then it's 27 meters long. So that gives us 2150. So it's at 2,150 meters. If we drag that 2150 back over to 190, and then we count it as 14.8, we're basically at 25 degrees angle on the bow. Okay. So let's go ahead and update our targeting computer, and then we should be good. So first off, we're looking at 10 knots instead of 8 knots, so it's sped up a little bit. We're currently at 2150, so we'll scroll down till those numbers say 2150, about there. We're now 25 degrees angle on the bow, right there. And that's everything we need. So if we lock that in, our speed is 0.2 knots still. I'm going to go ahead and stop that the rest of the way. Come on, bring it to a stop. 0.2 knots. Oh. We're going backwards at 0.3. My bad. Okay. So now we need to figure out what angle we're going to fire at. So what we want to do is turn until our gyro angle is 0. So I'm currently going ahead slow just to try and get us to a stop here. Come on, where'd my mouse go? There it is. So current 0.2, 0.1, and we're going to stop. 0.1, we're not going to get any better than that. Maybe we are 0 knots. Nope, now we're going forward at 0.1 knots. Okay, so the nice thing is by the time we get to 0 angle, we're basically hitting them at 90 degrees, which was our goal by turning the ship. So if I come up now, oh, actually, before we go all the way up, let's do a more exact measurement. So we measured 38 seconds, and it's a 190 meter ship. So we're going to move this over to 38. And yeah, we're looking at almost 10 knots. So 10's definitely the number we want to put in there. Set. Okay. So if we come up and we scroll out, this is where we're going to shoot at. So we've got 348 degrees as our final angle. Now, my guess is at this point, well, not my guess, it's going to be closer than 2,000 meters. But the thing is, if it's a lot closer, it only changes our gyro angle a little bit. So as long as we're within 1,000 meters on the distance, we're going to hit the thing. It's currently at 2,000 meters. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, or at least our last measurement was, I'm going to do one more measurement here, just for practice purposes, more than anything. So we've got 5, 6, 7. We're looking at probably 7 point, we'll just call it 8 even. 8 even. So if we move 8 at the top, we want the 8 to be right there. Look at the mast height, which is, what was it, 27? we're at 1350 right now, so we've actually come in another 800 meters since we did the previous one. So let's go to unlock that and move it in. I'm gonna set it to like, yeah, right there. That's fine. Again, the range doesn't matter that much. What matters more than anything is getting this 0 angle one more turn. So what we want to get the 0 angle on the torpedo is this one is 0 and this one is 0. So this is the 360 and then this is every 10 degrees. So if you watch it when I turn, by the time it gets to the next notch, the dial on the right has gone a full circle. So by getting to 90 degrees, we're going to have the least or the most accurate shot. And the reason is, what that's doing is it's actually setting on the torpedo. The torpedo goes out 100 meters or something, and then it turns to whatever angle that has set. And because there's that 100-meter gap, if you've got a large gyro angle, then it can be inaccurate. So it's generally more accurate to do a 0 or a small gyro angle. If you have to do a small gyro angle, you'll probably be fine. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with 1, which is currently set to like 8 meters, fast impact, and then we're going to go to 3, which is 6 meters, fast impact, and then we're going to go to 4, which is like 7 meters, fast impact. I'm going to use the fire button here, but I'm going to use the keyboard shortcuts of Shift F1, 3, Shift F1, F3, F5 to switch to the torpedoes because it goes more quickly. So I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. And we're going to shoot the first one at the first third, probably between the portholes here on the first third of the ship. So we've got those 4 portholes. So we're going to shoot at those. And then we'll bring the second one at like the very center of the ship. Then the third one will be, well, probably at the back portholes. So we'll go ahead and hit right now. Actually, we're going to hit that next set of portholes. And then we're going to hit the first of the last set of portholes. We'll do the middle of the last set. Then we're going to go to external cam and see how it does. Okay, so there are our torpedoes. There's a little bit bigger gap between the second and third one. We might get there a little early. We might miss with our first torpedo. Then again, maybe we'll clip the very front. We'll see. It's looking a little bit early though. So actually, I aimed for the it missed. The first one missed, so I probably had it set too deep, or it was a dud. But they usually say when it's a dud. So either I had it set too deep, or it was a dud. Oh. I actually only got 1 out of the 3 that exploded. So we're going to go back inside, and we're going to attempt to shoot it with our last torpedo. So that was really bad luck as far as torpedoes go. So we're going to set that to like 5 or 6 meters. Make this one, we can't control the speed. So we're going to turn it here. We'll flood the tube. And now that our gyro angle's off, I'm not sure how this one's going to do. And the other thing is we can't actually watch it in the water because it's an electric torpedo. So there's nothing to be seen. So we're just going to have to go off of our timer here. So if we do this, there's no way to see that thing in the water. We're either going to hit it or we're not. Maybe I should have switched to a steam torpedo, but if we hit, we should hit somewhere in the middle of the ship there. 1 torpedo was actually probably enough to sink it, but I like to follow up with a second one. Now my guess is that I just set the draft too deep, or the torpedo didn't keep its depth well. I know they had that problem on real torpedoes, but I don't know if that was actually programmed into the game. And okay, let's go back here. I have no idea whether we hit on that one. That's not what I wanted. I think we... Oh, we did. Here I was just going to say that I think we missed. And we hit with the electric. I wish we had seen where we hit, but we hit. So the follow-up shot did it.